Welcome everyone to another episode of Burnt Coverage. Here we are, week 14, your season-long fantasy playoffs, if you indeed made it.
And welcome back to New York, FanDuel.
Yes, welcome back, FanDuel. We can finally play on your site again and lose money. So very excited about that. Congratulations if you made your playoff in your season leagues. We both did, surprisingly. We actually watch football and play fantasy football. But we are here to help you with your weekly leagues. We want to start with quarterbacks this week. Joel, you got some players you want to go with?
Yeah, I will start off. Let's see, what am I going to start off with? I'm going to start off with Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer going up against the New England Patriots this week. I know it seems like a very daunting matchup. However, I think there's a lot of value to be found. Last week, Brian Hoyer went for 26 of 43 for 293 yards with 3 touchdowns against the Buffalo Bills. They've been playing behind most of the game, which is garbage time stats still count, and that is likely to be the case in this. Apparently, Tom Brady is still angry. He was angry last week, and how'd that work out for Tom? But now he's really angry. So the Patriots are going to be coming out firing on all cylinders. I think they're going to have Gronk back. So this is definitely going to be a garbage time stat game. But I really think for the price of $7,000 on FanDuel, welcome back to the prices, and $5,200 on DraftKings, I really think that they're going to be down, but they're going to be throwing a lot.
Hoyer's been, a pleasant surprise, I guess you could say, this year. He was my backup quarterback in my league of note. I had Ben, and he was down, and Hoyer stepped in admirably. The only issue I have with this matchup is the Patriots are actually pretty good against the pass. And we know that Belichick likes to stop your number one weapon, offensively at least, is DeAndre Hopkins. So I don't see a big DeAndre Hopkins game.
But the New England secondary is a tad banged up, and that they do that well. And I have no confidence in the New England secondary anyway. But they're.
Well, there's no running game. I mean,
there's no running game at all.
Hulk or whoever else they have.
John Grimes.
Yeah. They're really not getting it done. Nobody stepped up. So funny in other teams like the Chiefs, it's like Ware or Kendrick West or like Thomas Rawls.
It doesn't matter, just throw them in.
Yeah, and then with the Texans,
they got 5 running backs and none of them are any good.
None are any good. I don't think it's a terrible play. As always with Patriot games, you're hoping that, or you're thinking that the Patriots are going to be way up and they're going to have to throw. And this has been a theme for several weeks, on and off. And this is you're hoping for garbage time, which I think is sometimes a weird way to play. But Hoyer's done well. I mean, I think he's a starting level quarterback, and I didn't think that at the beginning.
I mean, almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Bills. Not that the Bills are a great defense, but I like him for the price. He'll be in a few lineups this week for me.
It's always hard to pick Andy Dalton, and every time I do it, I kind of kick myself. I swallow a little bit of vomit. Oh, there it was. But I'm picking Andy Dalton this week. 6,600 in DraftKings, 8,200 in FanDuel. Playing against the basically terrible Pittsburgh defense. At least corners, they're 29th in pass yards. Allowed Pittsburgh. A lot of that's because Pittsburgh offense is playing so well, and they've definitely not abandoned the run. We've had D'Angelo Williams have over 25 carries the last 4 weeks, but they're finding ways to score through the air, big plays. They're putting up a ton of points. I don't see this being any different. Dalton is at home, and luckily, Mr. Not Ready for Primetime Player is playing at 1 o'clock on Sunday, so we don't have to worry about him pissing himself like a Monday night or Sunday night game. Dalton is surprisingly 8th in passing yards this year and 6th in touchdowns, so he's top 10 in both. That's what 8th and 6 means. And he finally has all his weapons healthy after a stretch. There were times when A.J. Green was questionable. We've had Tyler Eifert was out with a stinger last week. Marvin Jones was iffy here and there. But we have everybody, Sanu, the gang's all here. So I think playing against such a high octane offense, and a lot's on the line because Pittsburgh can still actually come back and take this division with a little luck. They win this game. They continue their winning ways. Cincinnati has any more primetime games? I've got to look at that. I think actually the last week of the year they might have a primetime game. Yeah, I like Dalton to try to keep him alive. See a lot of balls in the air, probably to AJ Green, unfortunately for me, because I'm playing against him in my season-long league. But yeah, Andy Dalton, mid-range quarterback price, giving you top 10 results all year.
But you always see a lot of balls in the air on any given Sunday.
Ayo!
But I honestly, this may not be a primetime game, but this is a pressure game. And I think that is more of the Red Ryder BB Guns problem. It's not necessarily the time of day the game is played, it's just the amount of pressure and the audience. And this will be a highly viewed, this is one of the most anticipated games of the week because there is so much on the line. And I think Andy Dalton will crack under the pressure, and I do not think that this is going to be as high scoring of a game as people think. I think this is actually going to be a very low scoring game.
What's very low?
We're just discussing. I think 21 points wins this game. So yeah, I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Neither of these teams like each other, and at this point in the season, I think Pittsburgh is hungrier. I think Pittsburgh has proven more with less, and I have more confidence in every offensive player than I do Andy Dalton.
I'm sort of just going kind of what you did with your Hoyer pick. I'm picking it. I think Pittsburgh's going to be up in this game, as they've been in almost every game that Ben's played in. And
I don't think they're going to be up. I think it's going to be a back and forth game, but I just don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be a more defensive battle than people are giving it credit for.
All right.
But one game that I do not think will be a very close game is the Denver Broncos versus the Oakland Raiders. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler has been completing 62% of his passes since taking over for whoever they had playing for them.
Yeah, that whole guy.
And now he gets to play Oakland at home. And they absolutely destroyed Oakland when they played them in Oakland in, I think it was week 5. And Oakland's giving up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, giving up an average of 271 yards through the air a game. And it has nothing to do with anything, but on Yahoo, when you check on a player, if they're injured, they'll give the name, and in parentheses they'll give you like what was injured. Yeah. so if it'll say
Tyler Eifert, stinger,
or neck, thigh.
Yeah.
By Peyton Manning, it said foot, old.
Yeah.
So I would like to applaud Yahoo because I don't know what PA did that, what intern did that, but that slipped through and I fell out of my chair laughing hysterically. And I am choosing Brock Osweiler.
I'm so glad you saw that.
For no other reason than that I approve of that intern at Yahoo. Come work for Bird Coverage. Yeah. You have another unpaid internship offer on the table.
And I have a sneaky suspicion that unpaid intern had Peyton Manning as his quarterback in his season league, that he's not in the playoffs.
He just got knocked out. He's just bitter.
Yeah. Because I also read an update on it's through Roto World, the Yahoo update.
Oh yeah.
I read an update on Matt Hasselbeck, and he's injured, and it did not mention the old thing, even though he's obviously old too.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, this is somebody's got just a mean streak,
bitter,
and yeah,
bitter. Somebody got knocked out right now. I applaud the snarkiness.
Brock Osweiler, I think he's obviously got a future in the league. I've been comparing him to Joe Flacco. I still think that's a fair comparison. But he hasn't thrown for over 300 yards yet in the game.
He's not.
And this could be, the Raiders could get stomped. They're a young, inexperienced team. It might not be a game where they throw a lot. There is the fact that both their running backs are banged up, so maybe that would...
Yeah, C.J. Anderson's probably going to play. Hillman is going to get the start, but then there's Jawan Thompson, exactly.
Yeah.
But for the price of $6,900 on Duel, $5,200 on DraftKings, it's like dirt cheap.
It's $300 more than Dalton. Is Dalton the top 10 passer in the league? All right.
I would take Brock over Andy any day of the week.
I got a hashtag old quarterback for you here too, and that's Drew Brees, future Hall of Famer. He's 6,800 in DraftKings, so right under Brock. That can't be. How much is Brock?
69 and 52.
Brock's more than Brees.
Well, the Tampa Bay defense is a top 10 ranked defense.
It is true.
It is one of the best defenses since the AFL-NFL merger, in case anyone
This is all sarcasm from this side. Yeah.
This is Roto-World snarkiness.
Drew Brees, 6,800 DraftKings, 7,900 FanDuel versus my beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have shamefully picked quarterbacks, running backs against my Bucs, and my Bucs have held on this year, and surprisingly, shockingly, even to me, in the playoff race right now. I was not confident they'd beat the Falcons last week, and they did. But Brees is playing the Bucs. They're 14th against the pass, so they're about middle of the road. But a lot of that was actually earlier in the season. They were one of the worst defenses in the league, points allowed earlier in the season. They quickly turned it around. The best thing about the Bucs, though, and their defense is their rushing defense. They are only allowing 3.5 yards a carry, which is a league best. And if I'm mistaken, the Saints are trotting out retreads from 2010 to handle the load in their running game, such as Tim Hightower, C.J. Spiller, and some other random guy. Undrafted free agent, insert name here. Brees is still fourth in passing yards, and he's averaging 316 yards per game. Now, granted, he's notorious better at home than on the road. This game is in Tampa. However, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are important here. Sean Payton this week has recently kind of put his name in the hat to go to another team. There's a lot of trade speculation going around that a team will trade draft picks for Sean Payton, which is not out of the question. He's a very highly respected players coach. And, you know, as we all know, Brees won a championship with him. Brees also has his own issues, too. Brees has, he's counting $30 million against the cap, I think, 20 or 30 million, a ridiculous number. The Saints can't afford him. There's just no way. So he's either going to have to take a massive pay cut or go somewhere else on himself. So this season, a lost season for the Saints. There's no way they're going to make the playoffs, obviously. There's a lot to prove on the line. There's a lot going around this week. And a division opponent, which he's torched in the past. I really like Brees to do well this week. No running game at all to speak of, and he finally actually has his healthiest receiver core in a long time. There was a scare this week earlier that Brandon Cooks had a concussion. He didn't. Then now we're in this phase where everybody has a concussion. I thought Ben had a concussion. They pulled him out. He didn't have a concussion. Cooks. So they're being extra careful now after the Case Keenum incident. He also has Snead back after a couple weeks. Benjamin Watson's been playing well. And if we're going to see more Spiller, we should probably see more passes to Spiller, and we know what Spiller can do. He won the game against the Cowboys earlier on a 50, 60-yard catch and touchdown. So I think Brees solid play. If he's $100 less than Brock Osweiler, how can he not do it?
I don't know. I think I think it's sneaky play. I'm not gonna advocate him, but I think it's sneaky play this week. He's going to be Tim Hightower. I know the Bucs are much better than against the run they are against the pass, but Brees in some interviews earlier this week has really been subtly talking up Tim Hightower. So look for that.
What's he gonna do? Say this guy sucks?
Well, I mean, he could talk up C.J. Spiller, who
Yes.
who was their free agent acquisition of note.
Yeah.
But no. Who thought when you take Jimmy Graham off the Saints that the Saints would go downhill? No one thought that. I don't like this pick at all, just because it is such. It's the home road splits with Drew Brees are so dramatic, and they're done. Like they've nothing to play for. Tampa still has a puncher's chance, and
they're a game out.
But they literally have nothing. They lost Ingram for the year. Like it's a broken team. Their spirit has been broken. I can read the spirit of New Orleans Saints.
Even if this season's out, and that's what I'm trying to impart here, there's a lot on the line for next year for a lot of people involved. And it's a division game. You don't want to. You certainly don't want to get blown out by the Bucks. God, wouldn't that look bad?
I see what you did. That's
yes,
fine. That's fine.
Let's do the best. Go Eagles.
Whatever. No, don't play Drew Brees.
Is that all?
That's all I have to say.
That was a great segment. All right, thanks for thanks for joining us this week for Uncovered Quarterback Position Week 14. I'm your host Curtis,
And I'm Joel.
Make sure you check out all the rest of our segments this week, and make sure you tune in next week.
Tune in, turn in, tune out. Tune in, turn on, tune
See you,
out.
Dustin.
See you on the couch.
Bye.